think it's live, is it?
Okay, let me check. Are we live?
This page should be live.
Yeah, yeah, we're live, bro.
Are we?
Oh, bro, it looks good.
Mhm.
Yeah, so, well, I guess for those of you that have stumbled across this video, welcome.
Welcome to Akbarapa. It's gonna be dry, no music, nothing. Anyway, we'll tidy up as time goes.
Yeah, this is our first live stream, so bear with us, ladies and gentlemen. We are here to discuss important issues from a neo-Afro perspective, whatever that means. I guess you'll discover on the journey.
Yep.
Why don't we introduce ourselves?
Oh yeah. So I'm Campbell.
And I'm TJ.
Nice. And um,
What are we talking about today?
so we are discussing, do women have a higher sexual appetite than men?
Okay. Um,
Yes.
I'm all ears. Let's hear your hypothesis.
So I think, and my research has proven that yes, women do have a higher sexual appetite than men. Yes.
Okay. So I think most people would say that men have a higher sex drive than women. Um, because there's, let's say, at least in immediate intuitive consciousness, the idea that men are always trying to sleep around, men are dogs, men just want to, they think about sex every 7 seconds.
Yes.
So if women are not, and if women are not sort of behaving in this manner that they say men behave in, why would their sexual drive be assumed to be higher, or what refutes that idea in your estimation or your research?
So, by the way, you made excellent sense when you say it. It comes across so much better, and I think it's um, it's a semantics. It's a game of semantics. We're talking about appetite rather than drive. So I think if we're talking about drive, so the need to have sex is men. But once
Okay.
this has been established, when there's contact, okay, we've both agreed we're gonna have this, we're gonna do it, we're gonna indulge in this, we're gonna have fun. I think is game over. Women win. So yeah, we just have to establish the difference between drive and appetite. I don't know, would there be a difference?
um I think there is a difference, right? So
Yeah,
you could say that a man wants to sleep with as many women as possible,
right,
but a woman wants to maybe have better sex with the same guy,
right.
possibly. That it's, but they could both feel the same amount of horny,
Right.
right? Like if a guy wants to sleep with someone who wants to have sex at frequency of 3 times a day, and a
Uh-huh.
woman wants to have sex at frequency of 3 times a day, the man could be thinking of different women each time, whereas maybe in your argument, the woman just thinks about the same guy 3 times.
That is correct. Yes. As far as
Okay,
I've researched, and there are many things that it's complicated. There are many things we can't just generalize. We can't just put a blanket statement on all women. Each
right.
woman is, her own universe. So, but on a on an average scale, what you just said is the point. Yeah.
Okay, so break it down for us.
So basically, there are two effects that have a huge part to play, and one is the Coolidge effect, and the other is supernormal stimuli.
Okay, the Coolidge effect being.
The Coolidge effect being that if a man is aroused um, and is presented with multiple partners equally aroused, the man will keep going. He will keep getting, stimulated. He will keep having an erection until he eventually dies out of immune system failure. He's gonna pass out. Then,
So hold on. So hold on.
yeah,
If the man, so the man has sex with one woman.
yes,
Immediately after that sex is finished,
yes,
let's say that there was a woman already waiting, but in his estimation, that woman is a better sexual partner than the one he's just slept with.
yes,
So then his arousal will not be diminished, it will continue, or he will be re-aroused immediately.
right, yes,
Right. And then after that girl, if another girl appears and he was attracted, or another sexual partner, let me not even say girl, because if it just,
a
another
sexual
sexual
partner.
partner,
Yes,
right, arrives, then again, that could just happen endlessly, and he would never tire, and to the point where he could completely exhaust himself, even to the point of death. No one would actually do that in real life because they would come to their senses and
exactly.
stop.
Yes.
But essentially, the appetite would never end. The appetite would outlast his survival.
I guess the his evolutionary mechanism of sex drive plays the
Yes.
part here. He's just designed to have sex with multiple partners, so it would just kick in with each better partner, and that's where we come to the supernormal stimuli.
Okay.
Yeah. So with a partner, let's say the first partner is a seven, the subsequent one is an eight, a nine, and a 10. And if you can go over 10 to an 11 and so forth, he will continue to have an erection until my guy just kicks the bucket.
Okay. Plausible.
I mean,
How do you know this?
he's just wired this way. The man is just wired this way to to spread his seed as wide and as far as possible. But his biology does cannot keep up with this need to satisfy, you know, multiplying, and yeah, his biology is just not designed for so much pleasure. It's just designed to multiply. Just spread the seed, do what you have to do, and in the case of the black widow spider, the male is eaten up because so in the animal kingdom, that's how the animal kingdom kind of sorts itself out. It eats the male counterpart. I guess in the male in the human form is, yeah, if he was able to carry on, he'll pass out, he'll die. And yeah, this is because his immune system cannot catch up with replenishing, how would I say, loss of mineral salts, water, tissue. Yeah, it cannot keep up
So
with that.
what do you mean by in nature the man gets uh sort of eaten or whatever? I know that happens with one or two species, but it's not all species.
So
So what
this
do you
is the
mean?
case of a black widow spider.
Oh, right. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a case of a black widow spider where the female will entice the man. Yeah, she's in heat. He comes over, they mate, and when it's done, she eats the man up. She'll just lick him
Right,
up.
right, right.
That's it.
Yes, I've heard of this species.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess in the human world, it doesn't happen to that extreme, but
Right,
the man has a kick. Has he just you die, mate. He can't keep up with the level of he's just not designed for it. On the other part, the woman is built for repeated, multiple, pleasure, and she can go on for as much as she wants.
right.
That's where my research has taken me to. So we did record a previous episode where we talked about this extensively, and we brought out the Kinsey reports, and the different researches that have been made during time, and how it's proven that even in intercourse, men last about a minute or so, and women can outlast men up to, on an average 15 minutes. So you made the case that, okay, so there are some men that are actually lasting less than a minute, actual seconds. But, you must know, TJ, you and I are grown men. Someone
Right.
who is inexperienced and is having his first go at sex,
Mm.
and he doesn't have self control, if he's just going at it, he is two, three strokes, two, three strokes, and he's gone.
Well,
You,
it can happen even before any strokes
in
take
some
place.
cases, yeah.
Yeah.
For the listeners, I am also an Italian speaker, so I have to translate most of the time. So some words will come across very, very weird in English, but yeah, we'll find something. But yeah, the word is it pre-ejaculate? Oh, I always
Yeah.
forget this word.
Yeah. Uh, Premature ejaculation.
Premature, exactly. Yeah, that's the word. Premature ejaculation. Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know this was a thing until I was in school, and in secondary school, back in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what school's saying now, but there were definitely girls in sort of the um, older years of school that were very sexually active, not with any guys in school, with like older guys
Oh,
with
that
cars.
boys.
Yeah,
Yes.
older guy. Yeah, right. So I remember being in a science class, and this girl was, she'd been talking the whole last few weeks about this boy that she was seeing, and he had a car and he was this and that.
Hmm.
And then she came in and told us that basically, they went to do the deed, and they haven't been able to get to it because he basically finishes just as soon as she starts kissing and touching him,
Hmm.
it was all over.
Gosh. See that. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, how can we even? That's it. That's the point. That's the point right there. The man is not built for pleasure. Now, we will talk about the tools a man can employ to now, match. And it will never be on the same par, but there are tools out there. There is knowledge out there that the man can utilize to then now be, at least in one session, he can, at least try and, gain some respect. And
So,
yeah.
so you said the man is not built for pleasure, but he enjoys. I mean, men enjoy sex a lot.
And we did state that even in the last conversation we had, that the way women can express their enjoyment in sex is bizarre. A man, we don't know, I don't know of any man that can enjoy to the levels a woman can enjoy. It's just on a different level. The way their body just moves, the way they twitch, the way they can moan, is totally on another, you know. even talking about men moaning is very so men don't even do that at all. So yeah, we know that women they channel it differently. They are having whatever they bought, they are having 100% the full experience of it. A man is probably, yeah, he's gonna get, of course, it's a rewarding thing to reproduce. So eating anything that guarantees our existence is rewarded with either dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and etc. etc. But to the extent the woman enjoys sex, no way, bro. No way. She's just absorbing all that vitamin D. Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
So,
okay.
today, do you have anything you wanted to add?
Well, I'll say that I think you can't. A man cannot be in the position of a woman and understand how it feels for a
Exactly.
woman, and vice versa. But just from my unresearched understanding,
Yeah.
I would assume that a woman gains. It seems to me that the pleasure available for a woman would be higher just because of the setup being penetrated and the sort of. I mean, last time we spoke, you said about how many uh, nerve endings.
Yes. Yes. 8,000 nerve endings in the clitoris alone.
Right. That's
Yes.
not including the sort of rest of the inside of the vagina.
So we understand that the clitoris is that the whole organ goes all the way to the very bottom of the of the butt to the anus. So it starts from the tip that is exposed up on top um, at the point, and I actually have the name of this. So you see that little fatty bit just below the belly. Yeah,
Right.
that one I think Jamaicans call pum pum. That part is called.
Oh my god, the way you said that killed me. Yeah. So okay,
That
at
bit
the
is
top,
called,
at the
yeah,
top of the top of the vagina,
yeah,
right? There's a bump.
yes.
To
So
some men, it's an elusive Rubik's cube that they can never find. But
okay,
for an
yeah,
experienced man like you, I'm sure you know where to find it. So at the top, at the center
yeah,
of the vagina, it starts there,
yeah,
and then it goes down either
ex-
side all
yeah,
the way round to the anus.
exactly. It stretches all the way around the walls of the vagina, and then I actually figured out that the right word is vulva because vagina
Right,
is kind of a. But we will just for the sake of we cannot be complicating anybody's life right now.
right.
So yeah, it spreads all the way along the thighs, all the way down to the bum and the anus. Yeah. So whatever you're stimulating in that area, she's absorbing it, whether from the bum, whether from the thighs, whether from the top.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
So
Yeah.
and
Uh,
there are actually
we don't
18.
have all of that action going on. The men's equipment is not doesn't seem to be
I mean, the man only has a part, the shaft. That's it. The bulb at the top,
right,
and then the shaft, which and we both know the most sensitive part is the top, the bulb.
right, right, right.
Then
The
the
mush, the
rest,
mushroom tip.
exactly. The rest of the kit is yes and no. I mean, personally, even the balls is very sensitive. It's more kind of like an add-on, but that's it.
Right,
That's
but that's like stimulating that area on its own will not result
exactly. Yeah,
necessarily
you're not
in.
gonna have an ejaculation because of that.
Right. Okay.
I mean, I don't know. There might be some men out there, but as far as I've researched, it's not. It doesn't lead to that. It's
That's not where the action is.
exactly. Exactly.
It's an add-on, not a feature.
Exactly. It's just like, stimulating the nipples is an add-on.
Right.
It's not the main action. So there are 18 parts to the clitoris, 8,000 nerves. I mean, bruv, yeah, it's not a joke, It's really not a joke. And I would say the whole reason, not the whole reason, but one of the reasons why we're also addressing this issue is because we want men and women, Gen Zs, millennials, anybody out there who's listening to us to have better sex. It's 2022. Yeah, you need to be doing it right.
Well, they say that this generation is having less sex than each subsequent generation having less sex than the previous.
Why do you think that is the case?
That's a whole podcast right
Yeah,
there. That's a
that's a
whole.
whole different.
I
All
mean,
right.
we 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 are down. Okay, porn, the
Yes,
ability to, um, yeah, I don't know,
the
the
drive.
the the ability, the reduction in social, in-person social contact.
Yes,
um the list goes on.
yes.
But there's a whole, I mean, I'd have to think about it carefully, but there's a whole list of sort of potential, uh one might say, negative reasons around why we're reducing, the amount
Yeah,
of sex we're having. So
yeah. The stress we're having as well, reduced testosterone in men. I mean,
additional incumbent,
exactly.
like, men don't want to take the risk,
Yeah,
so they won't be, ostracized as a me too, or
exactly.
some whatever. There's a lot going on.
There's a lot.
you know
There is a lot. There is a lot. But for those who are able to overlook all these obstacles, yeah, take notes. Yeah, yeah. So, um, in addition to all these things that the woman, these arsenals, yeah, that the woman is blessed with, we're going to talk about archetypes.
okay.
And now I would like to give the definition of an archetype, but I might have to do it as we talk because it will kind of make sense. So,
Okay.
in the olden times, let's say before the rise of Judeo-Christian religions, yeah, there was the worship of the woman. People worshipped women. So you had oracles that were women, nymphs. There was the worship of Venus. There's a whole topic on the cult of Venus, and people called on Mother Earth, etc., etc. And
Like, you might call this paganism,
let's call it
like,
paganism to kind
or
of
spirituality, like, early spiritual beliefs.
yes, and it did not just come out of the blue. It's because whoever was a man back then could clearly see that, look, after me and this woman have had action for 9 months, a baby was born. She's
Right.
gonna conceive, and after 9 months, a new member comes into our midst, and this
Right.
new member is equipped with a soul, is equipped with all these tools that after 18 years, he's a man. So, men could clearly see that women were on a different level as compared to them. So,
Right. So I mean, let's they're on a different level, or they were just grateful for this magical experience that happens, when sex happens, right?
Exactly. Gratefulness. Yes. Gratefulness is definitely,
Appreciation.
yeah, appreciation for this gift, because without it, yeah, men could not do it. There's no man is equipped to do such a thing. Only with today's, modern science, it's possible. So so this took on, a honor, a respect for women. And together with this, you had different archetypes that were born with different type of attitudes. So here we'll go into what the archetypes are. And let me just dig out the correct definition so that our listeners are not gonna say, look, we're just shooting farts out of our mouth. Yeah. So oh, come on. Do, do, do.
So I understand an archetype to be um a representation of the typical fill in the blank, or the highest version of the fill in the blank. So let's say the best hunter in my clan
Yeah,
and the best hunter in the next clan along, and then the best hunter in the next clan along will share some traits. And if you
exactly.
put all those traits together, you would have an archetype.
The hunter
Like
archetype.
he's brave, he's
Yes.
powerful, he's strong, blah blah blah.
Yeah. So
Okay,
one of the actually that's a really good explanation, by the way. I've never been able to. I understand it, but I've never been able to explain it without reading it.
right.
So the guy who really dives deep into this is Jung,
Carl Jung, yes.
Carl Jung, exactly. And his explanation is kind of a mouthful, but I think it's the best out there. And he explains it this way: it's a primitive mental image inherited from the earliest human ancestors and supposed to present in the collective unconscious.
Mm.
So it is
Read that
present.
again.
So it's a primitive mental image inherited from the earliest human ancestors and is supposed to be present, in the collective unconscious.
Right. So we understand it intrinsically.
Yes, but unconsciously.
Yeah.
So it's everywhere. It's in the Snow White story, is in Red Riding Hood, is in Beauty and the
Hmm.
Beast.
Hmm.
We obviously understand that these are not talking about a wolf talking and eating a small girl, a girl, damsel falling in love with a beast. We understand the archetypes, the moral of the story, which is,
Right.
you know listen to your parents and be obedient, don't go astray from, etc., etc. You understand?
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Take the righteous path. I mean,
exactly.
I think if a story does not contain archetypes, it no longer becomes an interesting thing to watch or listen to.
I agree.
It has to contain, and that's what we collectively unconsciously connect to when we watch a story.
Exactly.
Right. Watch or read or whatever,
Yeah.
consume.
In the background, somehow we're connecting to it on a common
Yes. On a
level.
subconscious level. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So back in the day, men and women together started coming up with these different archetypes for these to best represent the women that were in their societies. So each civilization had theirs, and because we both have an African background, we're gonna go with the African ones. And
Right.
the Yoruba had Oshun, uh,
Oshun.
they had Jemaya, Uh, they had Mami Water,
Mm-hmm.
and many more, as many as. But these are like the three principal, most known out there. And
Okay.
these archetypes represented, something that was intelligible. So, your parent could dedicate you to this. Look, Oya, one of them is Oya, great huntress, uh, lady of the thunder, and so forth and so forth. They would dedicate their children to, each and every one of these. And among these was a curious one called, in Nigeria, in Yoruba, she's called Eshua, is Exua.
Okay.
Yeah. So not to be confused with Oshun. Oshun would be Venus.
Okay. This
Okay.
is Yeshua. And
Eshua.
is this was Yeshua.
Yeah.
Okay, because this
Exua.
this doesn't sound far from what I've heard people say the name of Jesus is in.
Ah, there's nothing new under the sun. So anything
um
anything that was brought to us,
is it not Hebrew? Is Yeshua? Isn't someone calls Jesus Yeshua? Just like the Spanish called him Jesus,
Jesus, yeah.
we call him Jesus, and they call him. Someone else
Yesh,
calls him Yeshua. I
Yeshua,
think.
yeah. But I guess we're talking about female archetypes. We'll go into that.
Right,
We'll
right, right.
have
Anyway,
time
yeah,
for
that
for
was
that
that was a
discussion. Yeah,
distraction.
but it's a good point you made, because it just goes to prove
I,
that even
I'm not sure that that's right. I'm
no, but
just.
that's
It
true. It's
sounds
it's Yeshua with a Y
okay.
at the
Okay.
beginning.
Right, 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 right.
But that goes
Okay.
to prove that these concepts are all archetypes. They're not physical people that actually walk the earth. They're
Right,
archetypes that existed. The man on the cross, the man at the crossroads, who is Eshu,
right, right,
who
right,
then,
right.
the Yorubas would say Yeshu, Ghanaians,
Just
Jesu. Is the same thing, it's Eshu. So
right
Eshua is the female. We'll go into this maybe in depth at another time, but African archetypes would be male and female of the same, I don't know if to say gender, but of the same kind. You would have the feminine counterpart and the male
to the
counterpart.
man. Right, 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 right.
Yeah. So Eshu, the 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 trickster god. Yeah. So when we say God, well, an African will say God or spirit. In the Western world, it will be an archetype.
Okay, right.
So
So, but there's no difference.
there is no difference. It's just there was a contamination at a certain point, because things, people take advantage of things, people forget things.
But my,
So
my
as
point is that a god is reverenced in a different way to an archetype, or a spirit is referenced, or is it? I don't know. I haven't thought deep enough about it, but the way a European, what did you say? A European, to a European, they would be
archetypes in the West,
archetypes.
they would be, you have the Greek gods, Hercules. No one
Right,
believes that
right,
these
right.
people
And
actually existed, but
and in Africa, they would be called
spirits,
spirits.
orishas, or gods,
Okay,
translated to, orishas literally means the spirit of nature.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So
Right.
so
So one question there. Sorry.
yes, I.
So um, you can be possessed by an archetype, right?
Yes.
You can actively seek to act like an archetype,
Yes.
and you can be possessed by a spirit or actively seek to take on the spirit of. So I guess I just think the name spirit and the name archetype, in a way, maybe it is the same thing. But anyway,
You're right. You're right. They're one and the same thing. It's just religion plays on, words, situations, geography. So
Semantics.
exactly. So it's kind of coming across as different, but we're talking about exactly the same thing. Just we digress a little, but just to shine a little more light on this, Ashton Kutcher played Steve Jobs.
Right.
Okay, for in a movie, he played the part, but then
Ashton Kutcher
yeah,
or Michael Fassbender, wasn't it?
I remember Ashton
Oh,
Kutcher.
oh, oh. Okay, maybe it's a different film. Go on.
He played Steve Jobs, and this was after Steve Jobs died, passed away of cancer, and
Sure.
I think it was something to do with the kidney. I'm not too sure, but it was something to do. He passed out of a kidney failure, cancer to the kidney, and something like that.
Right.
And we all know how actors can have a higher level of concentration and are able to kind of embody the character on a different level.
Yes.
And
Yes.
after he played the part of Steve Jobs, he developed the same cancer that Steve Jobs had in the exact same place. It was so peculiar that he had the same symptoms that Steve had, that Jobs had. Let's just call him by surname.
I did not know this.
Yeah, this is actually, you can research it, and you see that that's the case. And is it is known that actors, after playing a part, they normally go for therapy. You see, who was the previous Joker before Joaquin?
Joaquin Phoenix
So
or Jared Leto.
Jared Leto, yeah, he committed suicide after, and it's
Oh,
a
oh,
thing,
Heath
yeah.
Ledger. Heath Ledger.
Keith Ledger, yes, yes, that's the one, because these are all archetypes that actors know how to, tap in and out of, and some of
Right.
them are heavy. Another curious case, just to give some reference, is the character of Killmonger, the one Michael.
B.
Was it?
Jordan.
Yeah, Michael B. Jordan played, and he did admit that after playing Killmonger, he had to go for therapy for a long time, because these are all archetypes. You're tapping into a character that is intelligible. It's created, but it was created to fight on behalf of black people. So he's tapping into it. Of course, when the film is over, you're still going to have issues, because actors have a different way of, embodying these characters. And yeah, he did have an interview about it, that he had to go into therapy, talk himself out of certain thoughts that were coming to him, etc., etc. So yeah, the primitive people, we call them primitive, but there was nothing primitive about them. They understood these things very well. They understood that nature had these things, these archetypes, these spirits, these orishas embedded into them, and with certain type of concentration, with a certain type of frequency, you could tap into them and become that thing. Okay, so with that established, we're talking about feminine uh, appetite to sex. Yeah.
Right.
Now we talked about Eshwa. Yeah, in West Africa, she's known as Eshwa. Who say her name in other traditions, but she's also associated in West Africa. She's associated with Mami Water. And for those who come from West Africa, we all know the dread that we've been put in by Mami Water. You know,
Right.
if you see a woman that is beyond a certain type of beauty, you just say, this one is just looking like Mami Water. Oh. Because there is a sexual charge to that woman. Maybe she's fair in complexion, she's got a beautiful body, or she is known to be very promiscuous. Yeah, we'll just label her with Mami Water. So, to dive into it, there is an archetype of the sexual goddess, and that is different from Venus, because Venus would be the archetype of love. This other
Right.
one is exclusively for pleasure and for sexual pleasure. I did share with you you called it. I loved it how you called it a shrine. It was it was
Right.
so it was, yeah, very funny. But yeah, you have people who know how to call onto this energy, and you saw how impacting that image is. You can just
Well,
imagine.
let's just quickly describe it. Um, the reason I called it a shrine was because I was reminded of Jesus Malverde,
Yeah.
which is a patron saint of the narcos. And what they
Mm,
do is they in Mexico they have these areas, public areas, or you can have it in your house,
yeah.
and it would be like a version of, so in church when you like go to communion and you
Yeah.
kneel down and take the thing, and
Yeah.
you do it at the front of the church, maybe the image of Christ on the cross is in front of you, and
Yes.
the candles are lit.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine a smaller version of this,
Yes.
and Jesus Malverde, instead of praying to Jesus or Mother Mary,
Uh-huh.
you pray to this saint, Jesus
Uh-huh.
Malverde, so that when you send your drugs across the border, Jesus Malverde will make sure your drugs reach the
Gets
destination and
to
you'll make money.
destination. Thank you
Right.
very much.
So in this image,
Yes.
there's always a lot of candles, and it's like a doll or an image of Jesus Malverde painted, or whatever. There's songs about it. So when you sent me that thing, it was like a small mini shrine,
Yes.
and what looked like a woman. Um, it
With
was all red in color,
yes.
and then there was an like half the size of the woman
Yes.
was a penis.
Mm-hmm.
Was it a candle?
It is a candle. It was represented by wax, so it's a candle.
Right.
Yeah.
And the wax almost looked like the man's
Semen.
ejaculate. Right.
Yes.
So it just looked like something that somebody somewhere is praying to. And if I like showed my mum and dad, they would be horrified. Not sexually horrified because
Yeah,
it's sexually rude.
yeah, the image would, the impression would just bami is very strong.
Right.
Yeah. But
So
that is the intention.
I could imagine some juju guy
Hmm.
in Nigeria making some guy that can't have kids pray to this thing
Ha.
or something like that.
There you go. Low sperm count.
Right.
All these things.
Or a woman that's trying to snag a millionaire.
Ha. Thank you. So
Right. So I interrupted.
no. It's a helpful contribution. So what it is that Mami Water represents. It's obviously been, how things as time goes on become gentrified by other people, and then it gets talked down on. So it's being taken out of context. What it really means is power, but sexual power. That's what Bami Water represents sexual power.
Is it negative always?
It can be and it cannot. It depends what you're using it for.
Okay.
But there's nothing bad about sex. That's the whole reason why we're here. If
Okay.
you have any
Yeah.
other ways of bringing kids to Earth, yeah, be my guest. But as far as we know, without any scientific intervention, yeah, that's the only
Well,
means we have.
what I mean is it purely a what maybe Christians or the West would call a Jezebel spirit.
Well, that is
The Jezebel spirit kind of it seduces men, it turns men into
yeah.
zombies for them. They're
Hmm.
completely
Yeah.
captivated. Think with their penis.
Yeah. It's I didn't want to say it, but it's good you've said it. It's exactly the same thing. That is Lilith in the East, Jezebel for the Judeo-Christian world, and Yeshua for Mami Water for West Africa. But in
Right.
Brazil, where she's actively worshipped, because there are very few devotees, according to my research in Africa, there are very few people that openly will say, "Look, I worship you." You hear one or two here, but you just think, "Look, this guy is having a mental breakdown." Yeah, but where this archetype is actively, and I'll use the word archetype instead of God because then people don't understand what you're talking about. So this archetype is actively worshipped and praised in Brazil, in South America, where you and I have been once or twice too many. Yeah,
Hmm.
she is actively, and she is the patron saint of prostitutes.
Right.
Yeah, so her name, get ready, is Pompa Gira in Brazil.
Pompagira.
That's the one, Pompa Gira. So what you just saw there, that little shrine, that little representation, that is Pompa Gira.
Right.
So she would normally have two snakes in her hand. That would be Lilith or Inanna or Ishtar. Why do we celebrate Easter? Because it's a fertility goddess. We're we're actually celebrating and taking days off from work. But don't say this to our parents because they think Jesus was resurrected.
Well, these pagan days, these pagan periods,
Yeah.
you know, you find that as Christianity came in, those that were pushing Christianity mapped their own, mapped days, mapped rituals, mapped things on
Hmm.
top.
Yes. Very
Um,
true.
and if anyone wants to, argue that Christmas Day is literally the winter solstice, the day that
It's winter
days go from
equinox.
being
Yeah.
shorter to
Yeah.
being to days they go longer,
Yeah.
and this is a pagan day
Yeah.
traditionally, and we go to church on Sunday, the day of the sun.
Yeah.
So these things are, you know, they're there for everyone to see,
Very true.
and people have their justifications and reasoning why, but let's just reinforce that idea because it's
Exactly.
very prevalent.
Exactly. Sorry, I made a mistake. You said it right. It's the winter solstice and the summer equinox.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah,
you
the
said
winter
it right.
solstice.
Yeah, which literally means the sun standing still, solstice, and then
Right.
equinox is same night, equal noctis. So yeah, basically it's all there, and this is not because we you know took it out of our butts. It's in books, it's in tradition, it's out there. So this archetype is actively worshipped in Brazil, and I have met a few of her devotees. I've actually been in a house of a Dominican girl who she has a little shrine to this entity. Yeah.
Hmm.
And Charlie,
Hmm.
I can tell you, whatever,
Hours of fun, eh? Hours of
hey,
enjoyment there.
Charlie, or more, hey, is another level, is another. But then again, these are women that must be aware of this. It's not, the one you meet on the street. if she doesn't know what she's doing, is oh my god, yeah, I got a man. No, 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 no. These are women who intentionally are pursuing wealth, intentionally are pursuing, because she also represents good luck, wealth, and pleasure. All things good, pleasure through sex, though. So it's not even through beauty, or it's through sex, exclusively through sex, wealth, luck, money, peace of mind, kids, whatever. Pompa gira
Can I
is,
just say? Can I
yeah,
just say? Um, you know, I like to keep myself uh in control and balanced and everything and whatnot, right?
yes,
But there's been a few times in my life,
hmm,
and I'm slightly, I'm being uh, uncomfortably honest to admit to
confess.
this. But there's been a few times in my life when I've been in the presence of a woman
Hmm.
that is just so beautiful
Hmm.
that I immediately feel in danger.
Hmm.
Because if that woman was to decide to lay her attentions on me,
Yes,
it would. I
hot
don't
soup.
know how you would be able to deny the advance,
Yeah.
and therefore, if she had bad intentions,
Oh,
you would be destroyed. That's how men get
forget.
destroyed.
Yes.
So I don't know if this is an intrinsic thing, but there's a few things going on there as well. It's because they're so beautiful, you can't even imagine that they could be
Hmm.
evil,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So it's like a spell. It
It's
mesmerizes you,
she
and you're just
hypnotizes
so
you.
like So I don't know if this is kind of the same thing, or it's like any woman can possess this. You know, is it like? Because I think some women. Brittany Renner comes to mind.
Brittany Renner. How'd you spell that?
Um, you know what? I
Sure.
don't know if there's alternate spellings, but she is in the headlines right now
Yeah.
or recently.
Oh, Renner. Yeah.
Um, it appears okay. So she will tell you that she's just a good old American woman that loves, loves men and all this,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I think everybody can see that, or everyone could see that she moves with the Jezebel spirit, right?
Oh, poor
So,
girl.
no, not poor girl, not poor girl.
Ah,
She's cultivated it.
ah.
She like so. So what I'm trying to get at is, I don't think this girl
Mm-hmm.
has any knowledge of this altar. I mean, there's a chance she does,
Yeah.
or this spirit, right?
Yeah.
But somehow she's like neo worshipping it. She's like doing all the things. So her whole thing was she's written a book on all the basketball players and famous guys that she's had sex episodes with.
Hey.
Um, she the latest thing that caused controversy is that in her mid to late 20s,
Yeah.
she started going to a college, or for us in the UK, university
Yeah.
level basketball games,
Yeah.
specifically for a player that had very high prospects of going to the NBA. So he would have been
Mm.
17 or 18, and she was in her mid to late 20s. And she
Okay.
basically went to all his games. They started a relationship. Now, imagine you're a young basketball prodigy,
Yeah.
but you haven't made it yet because you're in the college level, so you're not being paid yet. You're not you're not the guy yet, but
Yeah.
you're probably going to be the guy.
Yeah.
And the number one Instagram model in the country,
Yeah.
one of the, a sort of Kim Kardashian of sorts sets her attentions on you
Yeah.
and basically gives you all the sexual attention you want,
Yeah.
all the whatever, and they end up getting married and having a kid.
Yeah.
Having a kid and getting married the moment he turns pro. So at the point where he's like, okay, boom, now I've made it, I'm a success, I'm a millionaire.
Yeah.
Like I can't go too far back from here. Obviously, some players go broke, but
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, he's been now established as a pro.
Yeah.
Immediate divorce and child support.
That's it.
And now when people have sort of said, yep, this is what you do, you're a Jezebel, you're whatever.
Home wrecker.
She's like, oh,
No.
golly, not me.
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
No, this is the way you toxic people interpret what I'm doing.
Exactly.
But, my truth, she always talks about my truth.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, from the comfort of the other side of the screen,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, this is a woman that every man should keep away from.
But
if that girl was to enter my room, my presence,
that's mommy water for you.
Listen, it would be a problem.
You would druze.
So let not women like that cross my path, please.
You should never say never, more. Never say
but
never.
my question is, she is embodying that spirit subconsciously or unconsciously, like Carl Jung's explanation.
Exactly. Yeah. It's within all of us.
Okay.
It's within all of us unconsciously. Now, you and I know about breath, meditation, and concentration. Now, there are some people that can consciously tap into it figuratively in their mind. So, like these people that are sent you the shrine, they know this is out there. They know this is an element out there.
Right.
And they're like, look,
so they specifically search for it and chase after it.
Bring it up. This is how I want to make it to the top. Pompa gira, come and help me. So, they do little offerings to it. Now, we'll also have to explain what offerings are, what an altar is, as in a shrine, what all these things mean, because these are all subconscious languages. It's not conscious language like we're talking verbally, English, Spanish.
Right.
It's the subconscious language is the language of dreams. How do you interpret a dream? It has no meaning in the conscious world. So, the color red. Why do we associate the color red to danger, sex, promiscuity? Why do we stop in front of a red traffic light? It's something subconscious within us, in the collective, that recognizes these things, and therefore women put red lipsticks. Women put, they paint their toenails red, and they kind of buff their cheeks red when they're trying to get a man, and all these things, because it tells us something subconsciously. So you might have it dormant in certain people, so they might not know it, but their need for a specific thing is so strong that it wakes up in them. It kicks in. Right. Then you have
it
those.
Possesses them.
Exactly. Then you have those like on Colombian, I don't know, meetup. I've forgotten the name.
Colombian Cupid.
Yeah, on Colombian Cupid, and some of them, they are working it, bro. Some of them know exactly what we're talking about, and they're like, look, this is the platform. Pompa gira, do your thing. So there you go. This is another venue that women have to just go endlessly, and these people, they I don't know how to explain
but
it.
I still want to explore this for a second. If you're not pursuing it consciously, like you don't know about the shrine, you don't know about the archetype, right? You but somehow you've you've just naturally fallen into the state of this archetype.
Yeah.
Um, did you? So it was already inside of you, and you expressed it, or is this thing seeking you like an entity and possessing you almost? Do you learn this? Stuff? Okay. Let me put it another way.
Go on.
A Western woman
Yeah.
might go to I've heard of these seminars,
Yeah.
where it's like how to be a sugar mummy, how to be a sugar girl,
Yeah.
and bag rich men. And then there'll be a teacher up there that will give them all these tips and tricks,
yeah,
on how to go about achieving this lifestyle.
Yes.
Whereas, is that the same? Is that the same thing as a woman that's like, right, there's this archetype and it's ancient, and I put this shrine and I worship this shrine. I say a prayer to it, I light a candle, and I'm embodying this spirit.
Okay.
Is that worship? Is that seminar or that book reading or that following a particular girl on YouTube? Is that also approaching the shrine and worshiping it? You just don't know it's a shrine, or is it just some sort of like I don't know, fumbling in the dark, but the people who do the shrine are really, tapping into the real deep level stuff?
That's a really good question. And I will answer with another example.
Okay.
And the example would be actors. They are our best available source. Now, you have those who go to acting school, which,
Right.
you go to your academies, etc. Then you have those who are natural at acting. They're either very good liars, or for a situation or another, they're just good at acting out, different types of situations. They're just good at improvising. Okay. And then you have guys who they're like, look, I just feel within me that I want to be an actor. I need to go to Hollywood, sell all my things, go to Hollywood, sleep in the car. I will get, I need to play a part somewhere. Okay.
Right.
So these three different scenarios, they're all three valid. The one who goes to acting school and comes out to be, from the academy, fresh from the academy. So what do they teach in acting school? Persuasive methods, maybe how to cry on stage, different body languages, etc., etc. It's as valid as the one who is a good liar, who can get himself out of various situations, from the police to the traffic ticket to, we know those people. We know those people that in every situation they're good at improvising. Yeah.
Right.
And then you have the one that just has the calling within him, that is like, look, if I don't go to Hollywood and I don't get a part in Madea, I'm gonna die. I don't know. It's just, so what is going on here? Yeah. And this is where I just think humans still don't know how we subconsciously tap into these archetypes. Yeah, but even I will narrow it down to, I would say Westerners don't quite know how these things happen. Africans, in a way or the other, or ancient civilizations, in a way or the other, they had a clear understanding of this.
Well, going back to my seminar scenario,
Yeah.
a woman going to a seminar, the same woman that goes to a seminar might be horrified to think that there's another woman out there praying to a shrine.
Yes.
They would say, I'm not spiritual like that. I don't mess with that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
That doesn't mean they're not messing with it, right? They just don't realize.
It's the same thing.
Right, right, right,
Yeah. They just have a different approach to it, but
right.
it's exactly the same thing. So yeah, it's there might be an element of if you come out straight from the academy, okay, and you might be asked to improvise. You
Hmm.
know, this person will be struck on the spot. It'd be like, nah, nah, I need a script, I need lights, I need a director to tell me what to do. I don't know, da 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 da. So they've come out of the academy. They have this, education, but they can't improvise. But now the one who's good at improvising, ask them to follow a script, ask them to
Right.
follow what the director's instructions are, and they might find this difficult. They're both valid. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? It's like it's how
This is
they
deep. This is
access
this is deep
the
because I'm even thinking
hmm,
again, slight tangent. The director,
yeah.
there's a lot of talk about how Hollywood has demonic stuff behind the scenes.
Hmm,
A lot of people believe that stuff, right?
yeah, man.
Um, you know, so I mean, I'm not saying that that's what I believe. I'm just saying if you go on the internet, you can find a lot of people making a lot of accusations, right?
There is a lot of stuff out there. Yeah.
So imagine that it would be the case that if you don't fully own this possession,
Mm-hmm.
there may be someone that recognizes it in you and
Mm-hmm.
directs you to uh
Straight into it.
to push it further or
Yeah.
strengthen it. That could be your mother, that could be your friend, that could
Yeah.
be someone that that has influence over you.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So this goes as far to understand, that there is more to us that we still don't know.
Mm,
Yeah, there are many parts to us, subconscious parts to us that are unknown, and someone out there knows all these things, and they know how to trigger them.
mm,
So, going back to Pompagira, um, she's the patron saint of prostitutes and homosexuals.
okay.
And what she is literally giving out to these people is, yeah, you are going to indulge. That's your way out. That's your card out. Sex. Whatever you want to do, I'm going to grant it to you through sex. So you are going to display a out of ordinary lust.
Oh my God. Uh, I've just thought of something that
Please
happened
share
to
with
me in the
us.
Dominican Republic.
Hey. And okay, you share what you have to say and then I'll go on.
Sorry. Now, I was in the Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
I was with a friend, and we used to go frequently. And
Do you know
there's all
what
sorts of
area?
women.
Sorry, do you know what area of the DR you were?
Yep, we always used to go to Puerto Plata.
Puerto Plata. Okay,
Puerto Plata is
that's
the northern
interesting.
coast. Puerto Plata is close to the place where one of the biggest red light districts is, which is Sosua.
Good.
But it doesn't matter where you go in DR.
Mm-hmm.
You're never far from the opportunity to sleep with prostitutes. There's a lot of women playing that game.
Okay.
And I would just like to add that Haiti is next door, and a
Hmm.
lot of those Dominican girls
Hmm.
are on this spiritual stuff.
Hmm. Tell it. Hmm.
So I met this lady who will remain nameless. She is the wife of a Canadian guy
Okay.
who came down when he was like 20.
Mm-hmm.
He would be in his 70s now,
Okay.
and opened a bar, lived the dream, retired in the Caribbean, got himself this beautiful Caribbean wife.
Okay.
and he now had a bar. He had 3 daughters, 4
Okay.
daughters, and a son, maybe. Or
Mhm.
one of the daughters tragically died.
Oh.
Um, Now, I was frequenting this area quite a lot, and there
Mhm.
was um, a lot of expats and foreigners would go to this bar,
Yeah.
and so we also frequented there. Get the lay of the land, understand we're kind of being brought into a community. We made friends,
Yeah.
this sort of stuff, and every time we go back, we'd go and say hello, whatever. And I also infiltrated kind of the locals, the guys that were just on the beach that lived the life there, native
Okay.
Dominican, whatnot. And all of them would say, hey, those guys, I leave them alone because of the woman, because of the wife.
Yeah.
She's up to stuff. And I heard all manner of rumors. She's into voodoo. She manipulates her husband. She does this, she does that, she does that. Me, I wasn't really into any of this, spiritual stuff at this time. I was very much like, none of this stuff means anything,
Okay.
whatever. So we just didn't care and we went to the bar. I mean, I've got stories for days about stuff that happened with the daughters, about stuff like all stuff revolving around relationships, sex, all of this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Now, this particular story, I'll save the other stories for other time, but this particular story, it was Christmas. We went there for Christmas and New Year's.
Okay.
And when they heard that we were in town, this family, the guy with the wife, they invited us for Christmas dinner at their home,
Okay.
me and my friend, because we were there, we didn't have anyone to spend Christmas with. We were just going to be in our hotel and it's a family day or whatever. So we accepted and we went. And we ended up having Christmas dinner. We sat there. The daughters were there. One of the daughters in particular, I was interested in. I thought maybe there's a chance we'd have a relationship.
Okay.
The daughters were all in their late teens, early 20s.
Yeah.
And I was in my 20s. Now, what happened now? So
You kind
first of
of.
all, the woman was African. The woman was very interested that we were African.
Okay.
And she was like, Africans have the real power. I want to go to Africa to get the real power. So she would say all of this, and I said that, I'm quite familiar with, this stuff is in my family. So I said to her, well, you have to be careful what you ask for, because as far as I understand, everything requires a trade.
Exactly. Yeah.
And usually the more you ask for, the more they ask for something you don't want to trade.
Yes.
Or the more costly the trade is.
Yes.
And she said, well, I just trade money. I said, money means nothing. It's not money they want. She goes, what do they want? And I said, the thing that you want to give up the least. So we had this conversation.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what reason I said I need to leave, or I need to go, or something.
Yeah.
But she was interested in, us being with the daughters, hanging around. It was always very strange.
Yeah.
She would always talk about sex or whatever. I just want to say as well, she was 50 with massive fake breasts, and like she's like a 50-year-old IG model. Obviously she's 50, so she's older in the face and all that. But like, if you just saw her from the neck down,
a MILF.
it's like kapow, kapow, kapow. Everything
you.
was crazy.
Thank you.
So the husband was sitting there while we were discussing. Like, the husband is next to me.
Yeah.
And she said, don't go home tonight. And I was like, don't go back to your, apartment tonight.
Yeah.
She goes, you'll come and sleep with me tonight. You come and sleep in my bed. The husband was there, sitting there. I looked at the husband, and his face was like just placid, like he was looking through me, like nothing had happened. Just and I thought to myself that the husband looks like he's been hypnotized or in a trance, and this woman is asking me to sleep with her.
Yeah.
For some, she was like, I don't want you to do this, you need to do that, so come and sleep with me.
Yeah.
And that was her way of stopping me.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was, but she's her way of like trying to push me to do something.
Yeah.
And that's when I just started thinking of like all my grandfather's African juju stuff, you know. And yeah, so this was like, yeah, if anyone was she definitely had the shrine. I don't know that she did, but I'm willing to bet she took regular trips to Haiti, and everyone in the community speculated about it. Also, another thing they speculated about her was that her first daughter,
Yeah.
who lived with them, is not of the Canadian guy.
The
She had him
Canadian. Yeah.
right, and the speculation was that she was still going to see the father and sleeping with him all these years later. So that
That
is
is
my
not
little
far
story.
fetched. That is not far fetched at all. That is not
Listen,
far fetched
if you
at
met
all.
her, you would believe it.
Charlie, look, the thing we've both established, yeah, that this thing is out there, and it's guys who waka, guys who have been places that have seen this stuff, and they're like, nah, man, what we're talking about, nah, it's out there. There's women who are just sexually charged with so much energy, it's intimidating. You 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 feel like, nah, man, I will be in massive trouble if I go any step further. Yeah. So how can a man, after knowing all these resources, and we're not even talking about Oshun energy, we're not talking about Venus archetypes here, which is seduction, coquettish seduction, beauty. We're not talking about that. We're talking about sexual power. This is, I go fuck you till you cry. Because that has happened to me. I had to run out. So,
Really?
ah.
I mean, do you care to share this?
Look.
Were you in the fetal position?
The thing here is that is I've always had, and this we'll talk about this a lot, but I've always had an out of ordinary attraction for escorts. I is
What does that mean?
I don't even know how to explain it, but it's just I can pinpoint them. I know, oh, this one, that's it, this is what she does.
Right, but I think a lot of guys can identify. I mean,
it's different from a beautiful woman. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
There is indicators
Okay.
specifically for women of the night that
Yeah. Yeah, and but
your location, all sorts.
And this was
How they dress, how they move, how they look
there.
at
You
you.
go. So
No, because an average man doesn't get the eyes from a beautiful girl, and if he's switched on in the right environment, if a girl's giving him the eyes, it's like, this is out of the ordinary. She must be a prostitute.
There you go. But it's the other way around for me. It's like I spot them before they're aware that I'm even around, or they're onto.
Right.
I'm not even, and I'm talking about, you and I have an age gap, so I'm very young. Okay, I've been doing this from a very young age. We're gonna we're gonna go into this someday, but it's just an attraction I cannot explain. And
right.
So I actually ended up making friends with a few of them, and this was
nice one.
Yeah, man, make friends, and they're actually good people. They invite you over for dinner, like you said, Christmas. They want to hang out. All they want to do is hang out. So this one time, I'm trying to go for this lady. She invites me over and everything, but she's like, "Look, I'm older than you. I'm too old for you. Just you're like my nephew." I was like, nah. I was insisting. nah, 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 nah. She was like, okay, cool. I know what you need because you're stubborn. You're kind of, orishi, something is doing you. So she calls a friend that was living downstairs, a Dominican girl. The minute this girl walked through the door, ah, I was just, I don't know, something settled in my spirit that if I don't knock this one, I will not be happy in my whole life. I will not. Ah,
Something settled in your spirit.
something just knocked. Kiki. I said, okay, cool. So that very night I did, and obviously they're all. This is a whole group of escorts. They're all doing the same thing day and night. So that whole time, my whole approach was just extra. When you're just all over the person, I have this attitude where I'll start massaging the person's feet, the girl's feet. I'll be like, Mommy, you okay? Or like, take this off. And she was like, what are you trying to do? Why are you not courting me? The word Dominicans use is, ¿por qué no me está enamorando? And because, she assumed, she's an escort, so
No
I'm
te
just,
enamorando.
¿por qué no me estás enamorando?
Okay.
Yeah, why
Why
are
are
you
you
not
not?
courting me? Why you not, why you not being, it's like everything I was doing, I just wanted sex. I wasn't even making it,
Right.
yeah, I wasn't hiding it. I was just making it obvious. So I was going for it, going for it, going for it. And she eventually gave it up after a week. Okay. Ha. It's like heaven, Charlie. You are just every day, every day, every day, every day, every day. I was happy, 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 happy. I said, God, my soul is energy. So one time I went there, and it will always be after her whole day of, whatever she does during the day. One time I went there and she said, look, I actually am married. I was like, it's not a problem for me. I don't, that's actually very good because it absolves me of any responsibilities. That's exactly the position I want to be in. And she said, yeah, but her man is coming into town. So she can't be seeing me as often. So we have to give la despedida. Yeah, despedida is goodbye.
Mhm.
I said, I'm ready. I'm ready for you. Okay. TJ, what this girl did to me, hey, the vile. And I'm not saying anything out of, it's just, I've
Well, this is
never,
parting sex.
I've never seen anything like that. I've not seen like, I don't even think I've seen it on TV or porn before. It was just so intense. I had to just stop her and say, why are you so indifferent? Then I just took my clothes and run out.
But hold on. How much of this is you having an intense attraction for her?
So the way I like to explain it, because later I spoke
What came
to
first, the chicken or the egg?
hmm,
Your attraction or her? Her?
promiscuity.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I guess it's like two magnets. We just found you're just there and you're attracting. That's the energy is creating itself. There's a tension that creates itself because I don't think any man is unless these JJCs Johnny just come that they might fall for this, but every man knows what he can take on. You know this one, even if it's a little over your belt, this one I feel carry this one. I can
Every
go.
man knows what he can take. What do you mean in terms of a woman that he can?
Yeah, you
Um.
you can you can seduce her. You can
Oh, right.
you
Okay.
can take
Okay.
this one
Okay.
home. Yeah,
Right. Right.
yeah.
Right. Right.
I
Okay.
think real players they know this. Okay, this one.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah, the kind of yeah.
Like there's a kind of girl that you like. Look,
Yeah,
she's so hot. It's out of my league. I
that's it.
can't.
Yeah, we
Right.
don't have anything in common. I don't waste time. But there's them
Right. Right.
ones Yeah, I don't even need to go down, the path of buy you drink, nothing. I can just slide in like that.
Right.
Guys feel
Right.
this energy. It's like when we saw each
Right.
other, the tension started. Like when I saw her,
Yes.
there's a magnetic tension that
Right.
just kicks in. So I later came to
Some people
find
might
out.
call it chemistry.
Yeah, yeah. So I later came to find out from the lady that invited me over for lunch and other people that this girl comes from a certain village in the DR, yeah, where this it is known that Pompa Gira or Yeshua, Mami Water is the staple. These girls before they leave that town, they that's who and the place is called San Pedro de Macorís. It's in
Right.
Civao. These girls they go on to take on this before they leave that city for whatever reason. Even if they're just going to the capital for I don't know documents, let's say, they
Right.
have to go and do something with that deity because it's just good luck. Yeah.
Okay.
And so when I heard that, I was like, this girl do me juju. Hey, Nana. Yeah, look at what I'm saying. I say, hey, look at what you are doing. You are just enticing spirits into your
Mhm.
life. Do you know what it means? And obviously I didn't have the understanding that I have now of these, archetypes, spirits, gods, but it's not something you play with, oh.
Mm.
TJ, it's not a joke. These those who are aware of it, yeah, it's on another level. It's on another entire level. We're not If she's already gifted by biology with 8,000 nerves, 18 parts, stamina, and now she's aware of it and she's able to awaken this archetype in her, forget, is danger. Red. Yeah,
But
man.
I want to know, like, I want to know, is it like a scientific explanation of sort of a mentality that an archetypal mentality that, or actions or behavior that works, that has been interpreted as, for some people, a spirit, for some people, an archetype, for some people, I don't know, just say a spirit and an archetype, right?
Yeah.
That, or is it like this is a sort of spiritual realm?
Mm.
I'm starting to blur the lines between my understanding of spiritual stuff, Christianity stuff, and interpretation.
Yeah.
Um, because if if we interpret things like Christians, a lot of Christians or most Christians believe like God is a being that is in some place, like a location somewhere, and that location is called heaven,
Yeah.
and that we can one day physically go there.
Yeah.
And then you can have another explanation that um, God is the God is the cosmos, the collective rules and boundaries of everything that exists. But in their world, in their terminology, in their ancient practice,
Yeah.
the only way they didn't have the scientific term for cosmos.
Yeah.
So in their world, they they humanized it, deified it, made it a thing.
Yeah.
So where do you fall on that scale? Like, is it like a real spiritual thing, like a spirit, like a ghost spirit thing from another dimension that possesses someone? Or do you think it's just a set of um actions, paths, behaviors, understanding that almost like martial arts is passed down through generations. Like, this is the best way to punch. If you just twist your wrist a little bit, you get
Mm-hmm.
more impact. If you swing from the hip, rotate, go
Mm-hmm.
with the shoulder, you get more impact. And then every subsequent generation builds upon that knowledge till there is just such a complete way to punch.
Yeah.
You could say that's the archetypal punch. And, it's honed. And some people are born with that honed punch.
Mm-hmm.
They just know how to do it instinctively. Or some people, it's like, no, like, this is, I'm going to go and learn this. But, is there a separation between the supernatural
Mm-hmm.
and these kind of concepts? Where do you fall on that belief? Um, you know, uh, is it truly spiritual in the idea, you know, of the people, most people have as spiritual, or is it some just kind of like deep archetypal truth that is, it has no bearing on life after death or ghosts or anything like that? Like, where do you fall on that?
So that's actually a good question. And what I would say is whoever compiled this knowledge into English um, was reductionist. And what I mean by reductionist is they had poor understanding of the cultures that they were describing. They had
Right,
little to no time into expanding the concepts that were being transmitted to them. They were biased. They just
right,
thought a higher civilization is coming to a lower civilization. Yeah, reductionist. So there was no intention into actually understanding the core concepts of what these people were talking about. And in the West African case, it was demonized. It was, wrapped in so much evil
mm,
because obviously they had their agenda. So a lot of what has come to us now is just, yeah, it's bastardized. It's not even the real thing that might have been going on back in the day. And with
mm.
that said, um, there are even some words in these languages, in Yoruba, Twi, in Wolof, that they don't have a meaning in the Western dictionary.
Right,
You cannot find a translation for them.
right,
So how do you have to take the best available word that then means something totally different. Yeah. So Africans and West Africans, most ancient people all believed in a hierarchy of creation. So at the very top, you have the mastermind, the one who created everything. So the various spirits, the various things and everything that we see today. But then this entity is so high up that he's also everywhere. So he doesn't really interact with our day-to-day, things that we have to do. The ones we can see, touch, speak to, and witness are all summed up in the four elements. So earth, wind, water, and fire. In a way or the other, a combination of these and a transformation of these are what our eyes, through our five senses, we can witness. Okay, you can witness these things. So now coming back to your question, are these things real, or are they just, they have no effect on the afterlife and etc. I would say that as far as these entities, I mean, as far as these civilizations understood it, these things were very real. Now, we know the part that belief plays in this kind of understanding. If you believe in it, there's a higher chance of you experiencing it.
um it's becoming so kind of esoteric.
Yeah,
But
so let's
I
keep
have,
it. Yeah.
yeah, but no, but I mean, to me, this is the interesting part,
Mm.
because
So,
I
for
think,
example, sorry to cut you there, but
go
for
on, go on.
example, this like this Pompagira thing, yeah.
Yes,
Okay, if you brought it to Stephen Hawking, yeah,
right,
who passed away a couple of years ago, if you brought it to him and you tried to, I doubt he would be able to have a mathematical equation that would express the frequency of Pompagira because he just doesn't believe it. And we know many cases of science not believing one thing when we could experience it, we could feel it, like even saying, I don't know, classifying Africans as one third of a human, saying women did not have the intellectual capacity to vote. These were all backed by science back in the day, by
right.
research. So bias, sorry, bias has a big part in what you can be exposed to. If you just don't believe it, you brush it off as wind, as, I don't know, coincidence, whatever. You would always have an excuse for it. But what happens if you believe in it? If you're waiting for the supernatural to happen, if you're expecting the unexpected to happen, it's very likely you might see it.
I think, that there's a chance that um the Western ideas,
Yeah,
Western ideas of this kind of stuff, throw the baby out with the bathwater, and they don't analyze it on a level. They don't have the desire to analyze it in a credible way,
exactly.
because it doesn't fall into the measures of their scientific instruments and physical reality. But when you start going into consciousness, behavior, and the I don't know, there is things that
Yeah,
that we do because our ancestors learned to do them,
yeah,
despite us never having context of that situation.
mm-hmm.
So um I've heard of, there's a meme that, or there's a YouTube compilation where you can find, um people put a cucumber next to a cat,
Mm-hmm.
behind the cat,
Yeah,
and then when the cat notices the cucumber,
yeah,
they, in terror and shock,
mm-hmm.
jump and flee and spring away, like they've been shocked, like an electric shock.
Yeah,
And it's a domestic cat that's never seen a snake,
yeah.
but it interprets that thing as a snake and intrinsically knows danger, flee.
Danger needs to protect itself. Yeah,
Right, right. So there is like this, going back to Carl Jung,
yeah,
unconscious truths.
mm-hmm.
And I think we have very little idea how to scientifically measure how we come up with, how consciousness plays its part, how we understand these things, and what these ancient practices and religions are.
Mm-hmm.
It's underselling them to just say that, oh, it's just, you know
Superstition. Yeah,
superstitious witchcraft and all
yeah,
of this, right?
yeah,
Sometimes the things they do are bound in, um like if you go to Nigeria,
yeah.
you don't eat with your right hand. Sorry, you
Is
don't
it?
eat with your left
Yeah,
hand,
with your left hand. Yeah,
right? And you could say that bounds back, that goes back to the idea that your left hand is used for anything dirty,
Yeah.
like wiping your ass, like
Yeah.
picking up things off the floor
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. And your right hand is preserved for
The clean stuff.
clean, right, which would include eating, right?
Yes.
And then in the culture, what you might find is that there's also a superstition attached to it. But at
Yes.
some point, we've got this functional element,
Mm-hmm.
and then there might be superstition attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
If you eat with your right hand, your mother will go blind,
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah.
And there's this blurring of where truth and reality is spilled in.
Yeah.
Anyway, to bring it back to this deity and this stuff,
Yeah.
um, Carl Jung, I believe, talks about being possessed by your thoughts or possessed by your ideas.
Yes.
And this now brings the language much closer to spirituality, being possessed by a spirit.
Yes.
So what if we just change the word before spirit and archetype, or spirit and ideals, or spirit and what is this word?
Spirits, gods,
No, 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 no,
archetypes.
no. Uh, oh, when why am I struggling for this word? When
Oh, we've also been going for an hour and 41 minutes, so
it's okay, it's okay. Apologies.
no
Ah,
worries.
but you're possessed by your not ideals. It's like ideals,
Ideas,
not ideas.
concepts,
No, no, no. You know when you have
imagination.
no. You know when you have a you know when you have a ideologue, not ideologue,
Ideology,
ideology,
possessed by your
ideology,
ideology.
possessed by your ideology. So you think all men are rapists, misogynists,
Yeah,
and now everywhere you go, you
you
can
see
only
it.
see that every man that looks at you is looking at you in a
There you go.
rapist, misogynist way,
Yeah,
whatever, whatever, whatever.
that's
So
yeah, yeah.
what if you're possessed by? It might not be spiritual. It
Mm-hmm.
might be something that we cannot fully explain, but it might fit into this realm
Yeah.
where you've decided that you've noticed the power that you've had over men, even from being a young girl.
Boom.
Men start looking at you,
There you go.
and you've built upon this idea,
Yes.
and then you found out that there's even
There's a
generations that
structure.
use
There's a
this thing,
framework.
a framework, through a
Yes.
spiritual thing. And
Yes.
so you do the ritual. Whether the ritual connects with some being from another realm or not, I don't know. But it, you're performing an act that puts you, that is requesting
Mm-hmm.
or pushing yourself to be possessed by this ideal
Yeah.
or this ideology,
Yeah.
and therefore you start to breathe it, live it, see it, act in it,
You embody it.
and
Yes.
it becomes very powerful in your life.
And it becomes real. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
becomes real, right?
Yeah.
You manifest it.
Yes. Yeah. 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 But all this stuff was known to us ages and ages and ages ago before any Western
They named it.
concept. Exactly. They
They
knew,
named it,
they
but we
categorized
lost
it.
it. Right,
It's not
right, right.
lost. It's not lost. It's just gone so deep underground, and it's I like there's a teacher that I follow, and he teaches all this stuff, and he's bringing back this ancient knowledge, the true ancient knowledge, because there's also a bastardized version that babalawos and fetish priests are doing now. That is just it's just hedonism. It's just, do you want money? Do you want financial freedom? Do you want to win your court case? Do you want to find love? That's not what African spirituality. That's not what our ancient people categorized. They didn't have a concept of payslips, mortgage. They didn't have these things. So you see
Right.
how, so he's kind of, but this stuff is so underground, and there is also a gatekeeping method, okay, for all these things. They're not, they're not going to say, look, we are the real ones. Come here and we're going to teach you that, 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 that. No, there's a gatekeeping
Why?
method. It's because it's real power. And it's not, it can just be picked up. The example they give is throwing.
What do you mean by real power? Like if I practice Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu,
Yeah.
and I know that it really works if you
Yes.
fight.
Yes.
If I learn the techniques, and these techniques are honed and passed down from generation to generation,
Yeah.
not it's Helio Gracie, who's the Brazilian element,
Yeah.
but he learned his concepts from ancient
Someone else.
Japanese
Yeah.
judo, jiu-jitsu guys. So
Aikido. Yeah.
right. So um, once you're like black belt and above,
Yeah.
like the only people that can really mess with you, I mean, even when you're blue belt, which is the second belt you get, right?
Yeah.
I think if you came across a blue belt and you were untrained,
Yeah.
you would it would be very difficult for you to win, to beat a guy like that. So in the terms of fighting,
Yeah.
you now possess a power through that knowledge.
Yes.
What is the type of power? But it's not power like you can call lightning from the sky or you can teleport or whatever. It's power in a very specific realm. It could also be power of the mind because you're confident, you know how to think in a fight.
Yeah.
So what is the power that you're talking about? How powerful? How can we frame that power?
So I'll just give a snippet, but would have to do a whole new live for this one because it deserves a lot of attention. So, what is power? And in West Africa, power was represented by Shango in Yoruba.
Right.
Shango is will,
Shango's my guy.
yeah, yeah. Shango, almost Shango, yeah. Shango
Well, I
is.
don't mean it like that. I mean like,
Oh no, you. I mean, we're gonna go into it, but yeah, let's
all
not
right,
give
go on, go on, go
spoilers
on, go on.
now. And Shango is willpower. In
What power?
willpower, the power of the will,
Willpower.
willpower.
Okay. Yes.
And in the Akan traditions of Ghana, it's Yao, which has a very
Yao.
Yao, yeah, Yao or Yaw.
So there are people called Yao.
Yeah, there are people called Yao,
Okay.
which is Thursday born, the day of thunder. Yeah,
Right.
it's
Right. Right.
Thursday.
Right.
Okay, so what we are basically talking about when we're saying when a Yoruba man or a Yoruba Babalawo talks about Shango, he's talking about the power of the will, the power of I am. Okay, the power that you can wield within you that comes from inside you. So, what is the will? Now, it's hard to explain because then we go into, does the soul exist? Does the spirit exist? Is there this? Is there that? Is there that? But what drives you to get what you want, to go where you want to go, is all powered by your will, your internal self, nurturing will that you have within you. How do you make this will stronger? Because we know people who have, a a a a, a weak willpower, and we know, they can't master their diet, they can't master concepts, they can't focus, they are easily swayed,
Well,
they
I have a
can.
weak willpower in some respects and a strong willpower in others.
So the purpose of knowledge is to know your flaws, and it's
Right.
not to get rid of them. If you know, oh, okay, cool, I can't run a marathon, but I'm a good sprinter, you're not gonna go up against someone who's challenging you on a marathon. The
Right.
purpose of knowledge is to manipulate your will at pleasure and the will of others.
Right.
So, not to give it too much, of a spoiler, but West Africans had understood willpower, and they knew, look, and what you were saying about thunder and lightning and all this stuff. So now, how does the electric eel, you know about the eel, right?
Yeah.
How is he able to generate a certain voltage of electricity? He doesn't have a dam in his body. He doesn't have like a little tungsten,
A
or
battery.
yeah, he doesn't have any of that. It's just biological blood, water running through its body. How does the chameleon change its skin? How does there are many animals out there that just do something, and we say, wow.
Iridescent flies. Yeah.
Exactly. Fluorescent.
Firefly.
Yeah, yeah, fireflies. How do they do this stuff? Well, maybe to them it's as simple as breathing. Maybe they find it weird that we're able to breathe this air and not even do what they're doing. Is Do you understand where I'm coming at? Is If you have mastered this, what would be impossible for you? If you know that, look, there is an
Wow.
archetype out there, I can concentrate. Artists do it all the time. They bring in concepts from another world just by concentration. They go into
Well,
trance.
I mean, I don't know what I'd be capable of, but I'll tell you something.
Yeah.
I would be capable if I could master all of my weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone could say that they know of their weaknesses
Of
and know
course.
what they would could do better.
Yes.
If I could master all of my weaknesses,
Yeah.
do everything to a high level that I wanted to do
Oh,
without slowing down or without
yeah.
you know, I don't know. I mean, I could achieve a hell of a lot.
There you
Certainly,
go.
I would be
There you go.
easily,
Would it be
be able
important
to
for you
be.
to sorry, would it be important
Go
for you
on,
to
go on.
manipulate thunder or rain, or it
Well,
just
I would. I don't. I mean, now that you mention the eel, I wouldn't say it's impossible, but I would
exactly.
say it's probably less than 1% chance that I could do. It's not only I don't know how useful something like that would be, but it would be unprecedented in my knowledge of humanity that someone could do something like that.
And it's solely because you don't, you've never had the need to do it, right?
Right.
You know, most people don't say, "Oh, I want to change the weather today." Most people just are like thermometers. You react to what the weather is. Okay, it's raining. I'll get an umbrella. It's snowing. I'm gonna get my boots. So it all depends on your subjective circumstance. If there's no need for you to manipulate it, you leave it alone. It just doesn't bother you. But if you reach a situation where, look, I need to face an enemy and I need to run faster, there are breathing techniques out there to manipulate your glands to secrete more adrenaline and to outrun your enemy, to beat him up. And you wouldn't, this is all, there's gatekeeping on the real stuff and the gentrified stuff. Obviously, you know what we're talking about, the yoga, the one these hipsters are just doing up
Mhm,
and
mhm.
down. Do you understand what I'm saying? I don't want to give too much
Yeah.
into it, but the stuff is there.
Well, I mean, I'm looking forward to hearing.
Yeah, it needs to be gate. There must be gatekeeping, because remember, good. There's nothing like good and bad, but there's people who have different resolves to
All
what
right,
they want to do with it.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Are you gatekeeping knowledge beyond the general understanding?
So, I'm still a student. I'm far from even gatekeeping what I don't know. I'm still a student, and I will
So
remain
how
a
do you
student.
know? Okay, so how do you know that there is such a level of knowledge? You know, what makes you confident in this? You know, in this sort of, because what you're describing is, I mean, like my my dad's generation and
Yeah,
older,
yeah,
they describe like in Africa things
yeah.
that are impossible,
Mm-hmm.
like um
Yeah,
teleportation, um spiritual battling,
yeah,
like fighting,
yeah,
um uh, powerful
yeah.
spiritual combat to the death, right?
Yeah.
That, I mean, if I spoke to the average Westerner, it would be not worth saying because I would now look crazy.
Yes, I know,
And
I
I've never
know.
been able to square that understanding. I've never been able to say, well, you know, like I trust my uncle. I
Yeah.
know he's a guy, but is he just, you know, whatever. So um what makes, and I'm still not, I don't have my conclusions.
Yeah,
So what makes you think that there is, I mean, there's one thing, a girl praying to a shrine and sort of being able to seduce a millionaire
yeah.
and, you know, whatever, getting her way a lot in the world. And then there's a kind of, maybe what you're talking about is almost
Supernatural,
like,
yeah, a bit
yes,
Marvel.
like or unlocking a level that, unlocking a level that maybe we can't quite understand what it is, but we know that it's beyond the capacity of the life that we're living now,
Yeah, yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Because if there was such a thing,
Hmm.
everyone would want it.
Okay, that's I'll address that, but yeah.
So what makes you confident? So the question is, what makes you confident that this level exists? And you know,
I would
yeah,
say
considering that you are claiming to be a student, not even at a gatekeeping level.
no, no, no. I'm
You've
just
not you've
I'm
not been
studying.
beyond the gate.
No, 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 no. In
Okay.
no shape or form. No, no, no. I'm still. If there's kind of, if we can say it metaphorically, I can see the tip of the iceberg, but I know how the iceberg is, is a third on the surface and two-thirds below the surface of the water. So I can see the iceberg and I know what goes into it. So I'm like, okay, this is deep. And one of the things that, without even going too much into woo-ha, is is just first of all, meditation. Okay, there is there are levels of meditations that I have experienced personally that scared me, and they're achievable by everybody with rigorous discipline, dieting, and isolation. Yeah, some people might even say, yeah, you're hallucinating or whatever, but meditation is so underrated, and the reason why there's such a focus on meditation in a lot of these practices is because that's the gate.
Okay. So
And I'm not talking
we,
about a Western concept of meditation. Free your mind, don't think about
yeah,
anything.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's a lot more that goes into it.
Okay. So let us wrap up this thing. We've got so much to explore. Meditation will be something we have to talk about.
Yeah,
Um,
we'd have to talk about,
the
yeah.
nature of power.
Hmm.
Um, and what was the other thing that we were discussing? The stuff we could go into. You mentioned earlier. Well,
Oh,
we
you
don't need
said
to
so
recall it.
much. Yeah.
Right. So,
Yeah. So to
we've got
wrap
so
up,
much more to talk about. If you're listening out there and you want to hear more, come back. We'll have more episodes discussing as many of these concepts as we can.
yeah, yeah,
And but Campbell is gonna wrap up this kind of, I guess,
this live
we've
session.
yeah, this live session. So we've talked about sex.
Yeah.
We've talked about the idea that women um perhaps are more intense, enjoy sex in a more intense way,
Yes.
and there is an archetype that
Yes.
women can tap into that I
Yes.
think every man would admit they've encountered,
Yes.
whether you believe spiritually or not.
Yes.
You've encountered the archetype of a woman that loves sex,
Yep.
is into it,
Yeah.
and also maybe relishes the idea of using it to her advantage, be it on a spiritual level where she's literally talking to praying to shrines,
Yeah.
or on a subconscious level where she doesn't realize she's acting out a sort of Jezebel, Yeshua, is it Yeshua?
Eshua.
Eshua,
Yeah.
Mama Wata,
Mami wata.
Mami Wata,
Yeah.
um, call it by whatever name, um, thing. And I guess so. What do we do? Do we embrace these women? Do we avoid them? Do we? What
Hmm.
is there? What do we? How are we supposed to? Now we have this knowledge.
Yes.
How do we act around it?
So the word I'll introduce here is admiration. Okay, and it would be admiration for this gender because it's not just women; it's also men that can tap into it. It
Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on,
yeah,
hold on. So this to you is associated with something positive.
100%. It's power.
So okay, it's power, but
Yeah.
it seems to be used to it seems to be used at the detriment of the person that they're focusing their use. It's like they 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 use it to
Advance their
inflict
own.
their
Yeah,
will
yeah.
upon someone, and that person is you. I mean, you said that you were crying after one
Ah,
experience. We've spoken about women that are taking guys for money, and
yeah. I
you
was
know,
close to
um,
crying, but yeah, yeah. It's the same thing. Yeah, I ran out.
right. So, why are we supposed to be how should we be happy about this? To me, seemingly, I mean, they're using this power to take advantage of people.
Okay, so I would also talk about balance, universal balance, and what it really means. But essentially, the way things in the West are put, you cannot express this kind of power, let's say, this kind of archetype without having a reward. Why would you call on it for one partner? Why would you call on it for, to be happy with your spouse or something like that? It's like you said, everything is a give and take. What are you giving to the entity and what are you taking? So it is what it is,
Are
mate.
you saying that this thing is neutral,
What
and
I'm
then we
saying
use it for positive or negative?
what I'm saying is that exactly, yeah, that's it. It's exactly what you said. Is power is neutral. Is the use you want to do with it. And look, if these people are coming from, and I've met them. I've been to their village. I've been to their houses. I've met their family, their extended family, and some of these people are poverty stricken. They have no other means of building themselves out of whatever situation they're in. There's some level of illiteracy, there's no man present. It's just women, matriarchs,
Right.
and they are met with obstacles upon obstacles upon obstacles. They need to survive. So we need to understand that also the reason why African powers, when I say African powers, I mean African tradition, religion, went to South America. If there's another motive, we might find out, but it was as a result of slavery. So these people had to survive somehow. Some of them called on Shango, and Shango is also known as the Lord of Dance. Some of them can dance. Some of them had to call on Eshu. Eshu is called the trickster. Some of them had to learn how to trick the master. Some of them had to call on Mamiwata. You had to make love to the master. You had to survive. So all these things, this is power available to individuals, yeah, to I would say African diaspora over there, and they had to survive. So what you will see this, even that lady you were talking about, that is looking like a MILF and she's with this Canadian guy, she, she has to survive. We don't know her background, what she's been through, what
Well, she
poverty.
definitely came from the bottom.
Do you understand? How is she going to guarantee a stepping stool for her kids? She needs help, supernatural help, because she could have gotten a job, a cleaner's job, wiping, some rich man's
You know
ass.
what? It's lost. It's she's lost her virtue in her in that's the hard thing. I'd be interested to know if there is something like this for like street gang kids. You
Oh
know,
yeah, there is. It's
this
Ogun.
idea of by any means,
Yeah, yeah.
you just lose yourself in this thing, I suppose. And I don't know, is the gun, is the power like the gun? So I suppose, if you're
Once you
being
shoot,
attacked,
yeah,
the police turn up with a gun,
yeah,
you could say that that gun is a positive tool. But if you go and rob banks
yeah,
and kill people,
yeah.
right? But it seems like we only ever see, or it's only ever
A
manifested, or we
negative
only ever come
connotation.
across
Yeah.
it
Mm-hmm.
when it's used negatively.
Yeah.
So now, okay, so have you seen those like African art
Yeah.
images where it's like sex, where
Mm-hmm.
it's like a man and a woman, an African man and a woman, they draw them like in the act of sex, and
Yeah.
it's like kind of since the 70s, these kind of images of a man and woman entwined,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And um is this where the same spirit could reside on a positive side, like a woman that caters for her man, that fulfills him sexually, that gives him the kind of sex that he desires, his fantasies? I don't
Yeah.
see that associated with anything to do with Jezebel or anything like that. I just only see the negative. But is that a bastardization?
That that
Is that
is
where it's supposed to reside?
that is a different energy. So all these archetypes have their place for a certain purpose. The nurturing wife that caters to a man, the community, the group, the family in a certain way. It's a different type of energy. She has no business, and Oshun energy. It will, we're
Right.
just giving the names here, but we'll explain them. Oshun
So
energy is the catering mother.
can
It
can you give an example of how this Jezebel's spirit could be depicted in a positive light?
Okay. So we all, I don't know if all of us, but some people might have a disabled friend. Some are disabled to a high degree that you know maybe they might not be able to take on a woman. like we would. Like, they can't just walk up to the club, buy a few drinks for a lady, and take her home. Okay.
Right.
Some of these people still have their reproductive organs. Some of them still produce testosterone. Some of them still have a sexual drive. How do they, they have equal rights. Just because they're disabled on a wheelchair or without arms or without a limb doesn't mean they don't have the right to sexual satisfaction.
Right.
Who caters for them?
Well, I know in Japan there's a service that you can get with your healthcare that basically
Hmm.
these nurses come and relieve
Huh.
disabled men like once a week.
What if,
Um,
yeah.
Vice did a documentary on it, and it may also exist,
Yeah.
here. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, is I think the Netherlands has it. It might exist, yeah, here in the UK probably.
Right.
So, who's out there for these people who want to relieve themselves? Is it my, the good girl that wants to find love? No, it's definitely someone who's devoted entirely to sexual pleasure. Now,
Mm.
the fact that she's exploiting it with rich men at their detriment can also mean that, look, it's a trade. If you have the money, or if the NHS is going to pay for it, I give you what you want. Unrefined raw pleasure. Mami water sauce.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
This
Let's
is an
end it
example.
there.
Yeah.
Let's end it there.
Yes,
We're
yes.
going on 2 hours.
Yeah, yeah.
You can pick it up. I still want to challenge you on positive depictions or
Come
positive
on.
expression,
Is it this
because this is
positive?
it is, but I'm not. I mean, this is not an everyday. Women are not queuing up to be sexual relief nurses for men. Everywhere I go and I look online, I can see these Jezebels. We're not even sure if this practice is done world widespread in our own country.
Oh,
So
oh, no, no, no,
let's
no. It's not charity. Let's make it very clear. Even the good woman, the one that we will label with Oshun energy, the Virgin Mary that is all innocent and all that's coming for you. She's coming for your attention. It's not like there's nothing free in this world. So even these women, the Jezebel spirit that she's out there, we don't know what mission she's on that she has to balance. So in the case of an handicapped person, the NHS is probably going to pay for it, or someone else will pay for it, or maybe he has insurance money. So then there's a trade. There's nothing free. So in that case, that's the trade. In the case of these basketball players that are just, do, do you understand the amount of resources that are being pushed into the NBA because people are just bouncing a ball up and down? Like, does that make sense?
well, it makes sense because people are willing to pay and bet to watch them bounce a ball up and down.
Isn't this
So
off balance?
I
Who
don't think
is
so.
okay? This
I don't
is
know.
this
Well,
is another subject.
I don't know if it's off balance, but um, they can fill an arena every night.
Yeah,
So if you've got, so if it wouldn't matter if it was chess
yeah,
or if it was watching paint dry,
yeah,
if enough people want to come and watch, they're going to open the doors and sell tickets.
yeah,
So that, and then if you're the reason why they're coming in because you're playing,
yeah,
then you can demand, like, the market sets the price.
yeah,
So you demand your salary, and at some point, everyone is, the whole thing is the equalized,
yeah.
and so you get paid appropriate to the audience that's willing to pay to watch you.
Right.
So I don't know if it's off balance as such. It's supply and demand. Um, you
But
know,
we'll go into it in a second part. But as a society, because we're looking at the bigger picture here, if we're going to talk about all these archetypes, on a bigger scale, on a bigger picture, there's a disproportionate amount of resources that is being pushed to a very small, necessary activity in human life. A very, very
Yeah,
small one.
there is a
Yeah.
disproportion.
How do
Yeah.
we distribute, if I can say redistribute this around? Because it's very easy, and we'll talk about this later. We'll talk about the tools that a man can guard himself with to
Right.
now
So you're saying that
satisfy a woman.
this you're saying that this kind of spirit
Yeah,
is part of one mechanism that can tap into that resource pool
yeah.
and redistribute the wealth that it is, that so it's their game within a game.
It's their game within a game, bro. That's it.
Right. Let us draw a line under it there. This has been a fantastic conversation.
I agree.
You know, we will continue on more episodes. We will try and keep it coming. Maybe we'll keep improving, and hopefully we will win everybody's interest. If
Yeah, yeah.
you liked this video, then we suggest you watch the next one. If you're watching it as a video, not a live stream, we live stream these from now on. But if you're watching the video, there will now be a box of something similar coming up on your screen, and we suggest that you check it out. Thank you so much for watching. TJ signing out.
Thank you. This is Campbell signing out. 3, 2, 1, and stop streaming.